successful. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Betty Liu or Baiming Liu. And today is the Martin Luther King Day. Everybody knows about Martin Luther King Day. Maybe I should ask, Tyree, you can introduce what is Martin Luther King Day. Or Ollie, you can say about it. Just using 2 minutes. Who wants
Okay, you want to go first, Ollie?
It's up to you, buddy. Whatever you'd like to do.
I think Tyree, you go ahead, because in the beginning people want to hear clearly.
Well, Martin Luther King Day is a celebration for a great man, in my opinion, that helped as far as civil rights movement and just getting things going to where there wouldn't be so much prejudice and injustice in the world. He's basically a person of great character and leadership, and a lot of people can take some things away from him.
Wonderful. So, Ollie, you want to add something onto it?
Sure. Martin Luther King actually, in addition to all the awesome stuff that Tyree said, he represented the dawn of a new age of real commitment to civil rights, because prior to that, there were a lot of figures that have come throughout history, and because of what Dr. King had continued, built on the legacy of people who came before him, with a number of different other organizations, it actually ended up resulting in more attention being focused on desegregation and treatment of people on the basis of equality, irrespective of the color of their skin. And so the reason why we as celebrate his birth, which was on, if I remember right, January 15, 1929, we celebrate that because of a whole new era that was ushered in, because of the way that his I Have a Dream speech inspired millions of people across the country and galvanized all of us, or not all of us, I wasn't alive, but galvanized the country about to really focus on civil rights. And that ended up having a lot of implications in regard to employment and access to places of public accommodation and other things that really helped to bring this country into a whole new era. Of course, there's a lot more that has to be done, but that's why we celebrate Dr. King's birthday every year, because as far as we have come, and we have come a long way, there is still racial tension out there, and there's still the need for all of us to be vigilant about discrimination in all its forms, both direct and overt, as well as the subtle forms of discrimination. So some people have said, well, why do you guys focus on discrimination so much? It's because it still exists. And so our goal is to try to continue to get rid of the old stereotypes about people based on differences, and to build on that by getting people to recognize that we should all be appreciated individually for who we are and what we represent to the world.
Great. Now, I didn't get a chance to introduce our not a keynote speaker, right? The key interviewee, Ollie Cantos. So Ollie actually I'm very honored to introduce Ollie. Ollie is a civil rights activist for almost 30 years and for more than 20 years, right? So even though he cannot see, but you can see that he is really a really great visionary. And also a presidential appointee under multiple administrations. Ollie will share his thoughts. Now we'll need to ask questions. Okay, Ollie, do you have anything you introduce? Oh, by the way, not only for accomplishment for his career, Ollie also adopted 3 kids who are blind from birth.
Wow.
I'm just so honored to know this great man. So, and honored to host the interview tonight. Okay, so I need to ask, actually, Tyree, If you have to go, you can, if you have any question, you can just ask. Okay. So I here as another Dr. Kwong. Okay. And right here on the meeting also. So let me first ask questions, and then other people, if you have some questions, you can ask. Okay. So I think we're talking today is a great day talking about freedom, right? So at Martin Luther King Day, we're talking the freedom, civil rights, and nowadays, and freedom may have different definitions. So for me, I want to know what are the definitions that Ollie, you would enlighten people how we can think about freedom right now. So in the past, when I was working and I'm thinking about, I do have freedom. I have freedom to do whatever I want to do on Saturday or on Sunday, right? I have the freedom after work, right? So when I was, anybody if know me, when my funding was gone, okay, and those kind of experiences happened to a lot of people, right? But until that time, I realized we don't have freedom, all right? So my freedom meaning that I can spend any money on anything. Okay, I can do anything I want to do, all right? So I have the time freedom, I have the financial freedom, which most people do not, all right? So right now I'm shooting and fighting for my own freedom to get the time freedom and the financial freedom, and also by helping a lot of people in the world. So what you can say? So I would ask Ollie that what does it mean, the freedom for our current day?
Well, freedom is people having access to choices. And that means that however way people want to live their lives, each person should be free to choose to be who and what he or she wants to be in life. Whatever a person wants to strive to become, those opportunities should be available to them. The difficulty is that for a lot of people, they don't necessarily have that type of freedom because of having limited opportunities in comparison to what other people have, where some people have access to different educational opportunities or employment opportunities. And if people are erroneously judged because of stereotyping them based on whatever their difference is, then they don't have the same freedom because they're thought of differently simply by whatever the defining difference is, whether it's skin color, disability, or whatever. So when it comes to freedom, it's a little bit more of a complicated question, where of course every day we each wake up wanting to do whatever we want, but there's a difference between the experience that somebody has in different communities based on zip code, unfortunately. Whether that be the environment people live in, if they live in a rough environment, or whether they live in a nice area, whatever. Sometimes different opportunities are available more in one community than another, and so that's why we have to strive for a greater freedom of movement, so that way, regardless of what zip code somebody lives in, they still have a chance to have a good education. They still have a chance to pursue employment opportunities and advancement, for that matter, so that there is no ceiling to how far people can go. And within a business context, that is the area where we have the greatest freedom because we are the ones who set our own terms. We decide how hard we're going to work. We decide what we want our business to look like, and we also decide the extent to which we'll take control, where a boss doesn't tell us what our limits are. We get to decide our own limits based on our own actions and our own entrepreneurial spirit, no matter whatever background. That's why people in business succeed kind of background because they say, well, whatever the world, with the world, I will always strive to be at my best. I will keep persisting to do my part to share with the world what I have to offer. And I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to give up on any of that because it's important because I believe in my business, whatever that is. So freedom basically has a lot of implications depending on what the context is.
Great. Tyree, do you have any questions? And the other, Dr. Kwon, do you have any questions? And I'm thinking about it. I don't think majority people right now in the society actually don't have the freedom. Mm-hmm. But people might not realize it. People might not thinking about, like me, I always thinking about freedom. I never thought about it. I don't have freedom until I lost my job. Okay. So now as an educator in life, I would love to teach people how to gain the freedom. You have the right to fight for freedom. Just like many, many years ago, Martin Luther King fight for his freedom and for a lot of people's freedom, right? But now, even though days changed, lives have been changed, I think we still need to fight for our freedom, for time freedom, financial freedom, for every choices we have in life. Tyree, you want to say something?
Oh, I'm just in agreement. So, 100%. Dr. Ollie speaks very well, and I'm in agreement 100% that everyone should strive to be better and do better. And just, the world needs to come together. And that's the only way we can truly be free once everyone says, okay, we have disagreements, but, we can still live together.
That's great. Yes. So, Ollie, yesterday you mentioned something is very great. So freedom means that some people want to make $300 and some people want to make $300,000. Some people people know that there is ceiling. That's called freedom, right, Ollie?
Right. But there's also something that has to also be talked about here too. And that is sometimes various of us, including me, we're still shackled by limited beliefs. We still hold ourselves back. There's this old story, and I bet you Tyree has heard it too. There's this old story of the flea. There's a story about if you take a literal flea, and you put him in a jar. At first he's going to jump as high as he can, but if you put a cover on the jar, he jumps and he hits his head on the inside lid of the jar. He's jumping, he hits his head. So then what happens is he said, oh, I better not, or the flea, just by their behavior, they don't want to keep hitting their head. So what happens then is, after a while of conditioning, you take the lid off. They can jump and they can be free. They don't have to stay in that jar anymore. But if they've hit their head a few times, they don't want to jump that high, they'll jump, but they won't jump high enough to hit where the lid used to be. So then, even if you take the cover of the jar off, the flea can jump and be free. But yet, even though there's no more cover, they stay in the jar because they don't want to jump high enough because they're afraid they're going to hit their head again. So in that instance, it's sort of symbolic. In that instance, they're free. They could jump out of the jar, but they have now acquired, based on the past, limited belief in their ability to be free. So now, if they can be free, they don't free themselves because of the past. So we are like the flea in a lot of ways, where if we've had difficulties in the past, we think, well, I should be more realistic. I should narrow my focus. Maybe I shouldn't believe in myself as much in that way because it didn't work in the past. So maybe I should strive to move in that direction. Maybe I should do something else. And that's a tragedy these days where, especially in the world of the entrepreneur, if we are like the flea and we've hit our head a couple times, we try and we fail, we try and we don't make it, we try. And then we think, well, maybe I should just not be an entrepreneur anymore, or maybe I should settle for a limited income because I tried in the past and it didn't work. So maybe that's it. I should just be happy with this. And then, so even though we have the desire to be free by increasing our income, we end up limiting ourselves because of opportunities we've had in the past, even though if we just keep at it and keep striving, we can actually propel ourselves beyond the jar by jumping out of our limited beliefs and going into the world and being free to hop around and to build. I'm mixing my metaphors, but basically it's just that's how it is with life, where it's true that going back to the legacy of Dr. King, there has been discrimination in the past, there continues to be, but there's also another piece of that we have to continue to believe in ourselves, and we shouldn't let any difficulties in life just stop us. And the way that we have to address that is we have to take our own beliefs. We have to look at them honestly. Like, what are our beliefs? Like, oh, I can only make $157,000 a year, or I can only make $200,000 a year, or I can only make whatever it is. And if you think, well, why do we believe that? Oh, well, I'm not good at speaking in public, or oh, I'm not good at marketing my product, or people don't look at me the same way, or whatever it is. Anything that we believe negative, we have to identify what those beliefs are. And then the next thing is we have to do is we have to change that rule that governs us, our behavior. And then once we change the negative belief into a positive one, I mean, really, really specifically to whatever it is, then we attach a positive emotion to that change so that we really believe in the new rule. And we repeat that over and over, and we do that over time, then the old way of doing things changes how we look at the world. And when the way we look at the world changes, then our actions change. And when our actions change, so do our results.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now we're talking about the general speaking, right? So I think that, Ollie, you actually is a role model for everyone, because you are the person who never see the light, never seen anything from the birth, all right? And that if not people lose the hope, right? But you are fighting for the freedom along the way since day one, actually, right? How you were born, So you strive, and then you went to college, you went to law school, you went to everything, and it doesn't seem for me, I don't feel like you are, different from us, So that kind of things that you are setting up, really strive for the freedom along the way. Now you up to this point in time, you're presidential, nominee for he's presidential nominee you, right? Two. Okay, yeah. So you accomplished so much, so many things. So that's actually is the example that how you strive for the freedom. So I think that because of you, such a inspirational to all of us, I think that for people who, have eyes, have nose and everything, supposed to strive even for better or for more. Tyree helped me. I didn't explain very well. I'm just to say this is not, we're not talking about the, strive for the freedom for civil rights. Now we're talking about everybody supposed to fight for their own freedom, regardless what their status is, right? So Ollie is a great role model for all of us. And also here, I want to mention, honorably, to mention that Tyree is the person who was also want to help those homeless people and those, people with depression and always those kind of, and people use drugs. And those people are really, really the opposite of the people who fight for the freedom when they meet the challenges. So,
but I'm glad you mentioned Tyree, because with all his efforts to support people who are homeless and other things that he does, that's an example of how each person can make a difference. Sometimes people think you have to be a Dr. Martin Luther King, or you have to be a Benny C. or you have to be somebody. But the best thing is we have to do is we have to be ourselves. And within the context of who we are personally, we can make that difference for just that next person, just that next person, just that next person. And we also have to be the ones to sort of pick people up who don't believe in themselves as much. I mean, in my case, I'm not going to tell you that, oh, well, it's just a matter of persisting. I wanted to quit many times during the struggle. I really did want to quit. That's the truth. The only reason why I didn't quit is because of my mom. I was afraid of my mom, and fear of wrath from her was more than the fear of continuing. So she, that's honestly the truth. I mean, I can say, well, you know, it's important just to persist. Well, you know what? I didn't want to persist. I didn't. I cried. I told her I can't do this. And she's like, if you quit now, then you're going to send yourself the message that failure is an option for you. You have to keep going. And I said, well, Mom, I thought, don't you want me to be happy in life? She said, I do. That's why I'm not letting you quit. You know, because when you teach yourself this, and you'll get past this, I honestly didn't believe her. I said, my mom loves me, but she totally is misjudging me completely. She thinks I can actually become a lawyer and all that stuff. I mean, she loves me, but maybe she's kind of off with this one. Well, you know, I eventually became what she believed that I would be. But at the time when I was struggling, I did not believe her at all. But I just went forward because she ordered me to. That's the truth. I mean, I'm being very real and very honest here. I appreciate you, Betty, for saying all that stuff about being a role model, but the fact is that my mom is the one who kept me going, and my dad and my sister were really amazing too. But my mom is really the central one who really kept me going when I literally did not want to. I didn't want to. I was unhappy. I was miserable. I thought I would never get through it, and I did eventually, but I didn't know that at the time. But she saw in me more than I ever could have seen in myself. And $3 million later, I'm thanking her for it.
Wow.
So, you know, the fact is that we all have to be that person for somebody. Just like Tyree is working with people who may have had they may have made bad choices, and they're suffering from addiction, all this other stuff. But he's there to be there for them. He is there. He is the one that's empowering them by saying, "Hey, I believe in you, and I'm holding on to you." But you know, he's the one doing that.
Tyree, please,
He's an example. I already know this. What limited amount of stuff you said. I already know that he's freedom in action right there. He's helping people to free themselves by doing whatever he can to support people, and that's what we all have to do. We have to be like him. We have to be like you. We all have to learn from each other. And then if we do that, I think that we'll be better off. These days, people are so against each other with political stuff, etc. And it's just so unnecessary because all of us have something to give, and when we recognize who people are and every single person, what they have to give, and we focus on unity and the things we can work together with people, that's how we really achieve better results for the world, rather than always dividing all the time. You know, just labeling people based on party affiliation or whatever. That's just not the best formula. The best thing for us to do is to be the best selves that we can be. And then to join with our brothers and sisters, our fellow human beings, regardless of political affiliation, race, color, gender, disability, whatever, join with them and try to just do what we can. And then when we do, then that's how we create a better world.
Wonderful. All right. Great. Okay, but thank you so much, Tyree. Do you want to say one more word, or what? Actually, Tyree want to help his brother first. So I want to have another session to talk about how to help Tyree's brother. So one person at a time, one person next to you, right? All right.
Yes. Dr. Ollie, I just want to say, man, I'm inspired by your story. That's a great story right there. And man, if more people can be like you, and you know, my mom also is the one that keeps you going at all times, you know. So I think that's a great story, and I took something away from that right there.
Definitely. The best yet to come, Tyree. We're just the first session, all right? And you know that Ollie has so many things to tell, okay? So think about it. He brought 3 kids. 3 kids all have disabled, has all the issues. But right now, they are all become a strong young man. So that way, we were talking about another session, how to build a young man by, role modeling or things like that. We have I'm honored to know Ollie. And he is the person I just feel like a sent from God, teach me all the things I need to do. All right. So just to listen to him, I will be far more better than you that can be. All right. So Tyree is also, I'm so honored to meet this. Ollie, I just met Tyree less than a week. At the airport of the Los Angeles. Okay, so we have more stories to tell. Okay, we want to set up like a Zoom meetings once every week, talking about freedom, a variety of things. All right, how we can help ourselves and how we can help others to gain the freedom.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Happy Martin Luther King Day today, everyone. Thank you for Ollie and thank you for Tyree. And good night.
Good night.
Bye.